Hey everyone, this is a political vlog. I mean, by nature of me doing a thing, this is a political vlog. Everything is political. That's not a sarcastic jab at like, why does everything have to be so politicized nowadays? No, I mean that. Everything is political. Life is politics. It doesn't necessarily mean governmental or electoral, but everything is political. Even choosing to not engage, which is to say like electing to ignore politics, is a political choice. Our beliefs, our actions, our opinions, our interactions with each other, that's what politics are. How we live together and discuss and move in any direction as a society. Everything is political. And like I said, choosing to ignore politics is in itself a political decision. Nothing exists in a vacuum, and everything is political, including the active choice to not engage in political discourse or acknowledge the influence of political forces on the things that you enjoy and consume. Why I'm bringing this up now is because the news and the reactions to The Escapist relaunching have been, at best, pretty frustrating. And this is why. Russ Pitts, the former editor-in-chief of The Escapist, years and years back, is reviving the site. It never actually died, but it became like this horrendous wasteland of a website run by gamergators, and it just has circled the drain over the past couple of years. So a few days ago, Russ Pitts put out a lengthy statement detailing his ambition to get it back on track. He said he would be returning as editor-in-chief and rebooting the site, and he acknowledged that some extreme elements took root there. Now, curiously, he didn't call them out. He didn't say Gamergate took over the site, but went with the, whether they be left or right-wing extremists, that doesn't really matter. Went with that tact. Now, what I'm really interested, though, is pointing out how they want to leave politics at the door. And this, if we're reading subtext, seems pretty dog-whistly, but that's surprisingly not what I'm going to talk about today, but that is surprisingly not what I am going to talk about today, but instead how absurd that statement is on its face, because politics are everywhere. His refusal to not specifically name which extreme elements took over The Escapist is a political decision. It's a choice to not upset potential conservative readership. His choice to not be political, whether intentionally or not, was political. And a journalist can't just not cover political topics either. There's a difference between not bringing your own personal biases to a story and to coverage, divorcing yourself from your own biases as best you can, though we are still humans and we still do bring that subconsciously. That's an entirely different debate, but you cannot just elect to not cover political topics. That's an extra layer of absurd, and again, that is a political choice to not present information, especially really important information, and coverage to your readership. But anyone talking about art, though? Like, especially art. How do you discuss art and check politics at the door? Art is especially political. Anything creative is inherently political. And I feel like I'm saying that word so many times that it's just becoming, it's losing its meaning in my head. You ever just say a word so many times that it loses meaning? But hey, that's where we are. You can't cover video games and ignore their messages, both the intended ones and the unintended ones. You can't cover games and ignore their creators and the political leanings and the beliefs of their creators and the messages they instill in their creations. You can't just totally separate politics from art. from any kind of creative work. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that. It's really frustrating, this whole situation, and watching people go, well, isn't that a noble goal? Shouldn't, man, I don't want politics in my games all the time. It took me a long time to understand the problem therein, because I also thought I could just leave politics at the door. I didn't always realize how political my choice to not talk about politics was. And part of the reason behind that is because I can safely disengage. I am a straight cis white dude. I am not under relentless existential siege. When I turn to media, I see myself reflected across a whole galaxy of characters. I don't have to scrape and fight and claw to see myself represented, or see people like me represented. And until that's pointed out to you, it's really easy to take that for granted. And deciding to not engage in politics, the problem with that is that it's a tacit endorsement of the status quo. If you're not questioning, if you are not investigating, if you're not interrogating, if you're not at least acknowledging how these forces interact, then that's an endorsement of how things are. That is an endorsement of the status quo. That's essentially what makes leaving politics at the door a political stance. And it is absolutely a privilege to be able to say, get your politics out of my entertainment. It is a privilege to be able to say that. By the way, I've been wanting to address this. This is a short aside, but I've been surprised that others are as surprised by my personal political leanings as they are. Like, I always thought that I've been pretty transparent about my beliefs. By the way, I am a one of those dastardly leftists. One of those fucking SJWs. I'm heavily left-leaning, by the way. But I'm surprised that people are as surprised by my politics as they are. Because the toxic masculinity episode of God of War, and the whole Detroit streamed playthrough, I guess they've clarified a few things for people. Even though my beliefs have been out there, I've not really been shy. I guess it's because most of that stuff comes across more on my Twitter, because it's more of a free association kind of stream of consciousness platform, where at any given moment I can just bring a topic up and it doesn't have to be necessarily relevant to whatever is at hand. But anyway, what I want y'all to take away from this is that life is inherently political. Social interactions are politics. Again, not necessarily governmental or electoral, though those things influence everyday life. But social interactions, creativity, art, all of this stuff is political. You can't just say, leave your politics somewhere else. That's not how this works. Trying to be apolitical is akin to just burying your head in the sand. And it is in and of itself a political stance. And by the way, it's a political stance that does benefit a very specific set of people. Namely, the kind of people who benefit from the unchanging nature of the status quo. And that's going to do it for this vlog. There's going to be a Final Fantasy IX episode up later on. My non-24-hour sleep-wake syndrome has been kicking my ass. So things were a little bit wonky with the schedule as of late. But hopefully that's fixed now, at least for another couple weeks before that kicks in again. I will see you all tonight for the FF9 episode. Thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Have a good one.